translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
The spiritually powerful messages of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. Purport. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse, where Kapila Dev replies to the questions of his mother Devahuti about the process of devotional service. As one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets the spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. Why it's not possible to make advancement? What is the condition? And from that instruction will come? Encouragement. Yes, encouragement. So clarity and encouragement that comes as a result of practicing devotional service by following the instructions. Without that, it's not possible to advance. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is the test of one's devotional service. So what is the test for devotions? The test. It's a test. Testing. It. Not taste. A test. Not math test. It's a test of devotional service. What is it?
The taste.
Okay. One's development of a taste for executing these instructions. So what exactly? What taste? The taste for following the instructions. So there must be a taste for it. Because, it's not just, I'm doing it by force or some other reason. I'm doing it because there is encouragement and there is taste. So this is the test. If I have this taste for following, I'm advancing. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing the science of devotion from a qualified spiritual master. What this refers to in the verse? What is this confidence called?
Faith.
Yeah, faith, confidence in Sanskrit. Shraddha. Shraddha, confidence, conviction. So initially one develops this confidence by hearing from a qualified spiritual master. Then, as he associates with devotees and tries to adopt the means instructed by the spiritual master in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. So what is vanquished? What disappears when we perform devotional service? Two things. Misgivings. What is a misgiving?
Errors. Misunderstanding.
Okay.
Misfaults. Anarthas.
Yeah, that refers to anartha nivriti, obviously. Anarthas, misgivings. It can be also serious doubt. That Prabhupada many times used interchangeably these words like doubts and misgivings. And misgiving is the worst type of doubt. Doubt, we naturally have doubts which we can clear by intelligence. Misgiving is something which is deeper, and then you don't want to give up easily. So, but this is clear. Misgivings and other obstacles. They are vanquished by the execution of devotional service. Strong attachment for the transcendental service of the Lord develops as he continues listening to the messages of Godhead. So, what develops by continuing to listen? The messages? Strong attachment for transcendental service, yes. And if he steadily proceeds in this way, he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which in the verse is called Rati is the, or Bhava, and Bhakti here refers to Prema. In that sense, therefore, Prabhupada translates as Bhakti or love. This is how Prabhupada translates and comments, and we'll hear Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains a little bit differently the whole progress from Shraddha to Prema, but that's what the verse means. So let me offer my obeisances. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutte Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangom Langayati Grim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Nivtarinam. So, have you wondered why this verse appears and the previous and a couple of the next, which deal with Sangha, right? Devotees association in the chapter called the Spiritual Masters. And okay, so this is the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It starts with 14 invocation verses, introductory verses, then a number of verses explaining those invocation verses, and then the author starts the subject of the chapter by offering obeisances to his spiritual masters, his initiating spiritual master, his shiksha gurus, the instructing spiritual masters, which are, in the case of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who says they are, who are there? His spiritual masters. Do you remember? That was just a couple of verses ago. The Sikh Goswamis. Right. He was especially associating with Raghunath Das Goswami. For a long time, every day he was hearing in the afternoon near Radhakund. Raghunath Das Goswami was telling the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So based on these notes of Raghunath Das Goswami and the notes of Surup Damodar, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, on the request of the devotees and by receiving the direct confirmation by the Supreme Lord Madan Mohan, he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, he's offering obeisances to his spiritual masters, and so these are the main categories, the Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru, and what else? Who else? What kind of other gurus are there? Who? I didn't hear. Oh, Pratma Pradarsha, okay. Are you from Bengal?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes, these are the gurus who show the way, like very at the initial stage, they kind of point the direction. What else? Chaitya Guru, that's the spiritual master within the heart. That refers to Paramatma. So this is just a few verses before he offers obeisances to the Lord, who is the Guru in the heart. But, he says, since the conditioned souls cannot see the Guru in the heart, he manifests himself. How? As the instructing spiritual master and as devotees. So, and then he says that there is no difference. This is which verse is that? Krishna Rupa. Is it? No. No, that's that. Jiva sakshat nahi tare tate guru chaitya rupe shiksha guru haya Krishna mahimanta swarupe. So since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Super Soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. So Krishna, that's Krishna's form as a spiritual master. And then, therefore, one should give a bad association and associate only with devotees. That was the verse from last week. And now he quotes another verse from Bhagavatam. This is today's verse from 25th chapter of the third canto. So Krishna takes that form. And now Prabhupada explains in the commentaries that this should be understood properly according to the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Tattva. When the Shastra say, because he also, Krishnadas Kaviraj Thakur says, according to all pramana, Vedic pramana, our Guru is directly the Lord. So what does that mean? Is that in ontological sense, like the absolute identity? Is it that the case or no? Absolute identity means Guru is God. What we sing every day, Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastra. All the Shastras declare Guru is Sakshat Hari, directly Hari. What does it mean? Guru is directly Hari.
The representative, is that what you mean?
Well, I'm just quoting. All Shastras say Guru is Sakshat Hari, directly Hari. What does it mean that Guru is Hari? Or as we read, he is the form. Krishna is Chaitya, Shiksha Guru Haya. He takes a special form. Krishna takes a form. So what is the meaning? Kintu Prabhurya, but the same verse of Guru Ashtakam we sing every morning. He is directly Hari, but Kintu means but. Kintu Prabhurya Priya Evatase. But he is why he is considered directly Hari? Because he is very dear to Hari. Okay, so it's not a identity, complete identical personalities in that sense. Ontological means like in Tattva, that Guru is God. It's not like that. As we remember from history, we know that in India there's, and Prabhupada in so many commentaries, is bashing this cheap, he says, gurus, pseudo-gurus, incarnations, and all kinds of avatars, who present themselves, I am Bhagavan. And Prabhupada was so angry at this. And also he became angry with his disciples in the early years, when some of them came to the same conclusion that Prabhupada is actually God. That's what we sing, Sakshat Hari, he is God. So these were some of his first senior disciples. They were some of them sannyasis, the early sannyasis. So they started preaching like that. We have not understood properly. I mean, you have not, everyone, and Prabhupada is very shy, and it's his humbleness, but actually he's Krishna himself. And devotees were confused. But Prabhupada said something else also. So Prabhupada heard, he was extremely angry. So this is one of the, probably the only one case, or the most extreme rare case, where he expelled them from the movement. He said, go away, you're not anymore part of this movement. But he told them, preach somehow, still stay connected, and after some time they were accepted again. So he was very angry when we mixed this tattva. And it's not so difficult actually to understand what is the meaning of Guru is directly Krishna, why we call him the spiritual masters. They are the form of Krishna. And yes, Krishna Das Kaviraj says, well, he just takes a form. So that to give his mercy to the conditional soul, that's actually the way by which Krishna is giving his mercy in this world, through his devotees. He uses his devotees. That's why they are considered like a direct representation of Krishna or directly Krishna. And one thing which is mentioned also often is that they have, why they're also considered one in interest, one in heart. And actually that's what in the next verse which comes, and the word after that, where Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami quotes another verse from Bhagavatam, which is a very famous verse spoken by Lord Narayana, who said to Durvasa Muni, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham. So all the sadhus or the devotees they're my heart. Okay? And I am the heart of the devotees. So is that very intimate connection? If you say to someone, you are my heart, and that someone is also, I'm his or her heart, that means very intimate connection. That means oneness actually, but oneness in heart, not oneness in everything, absolute oneness. So oneness in heart, devotees, or saintly devotees, sadhus, pure devotees, they're completely one in heart with Krishna, therefore they are Krishna. In that sense, they represent him completely. And then we can access Krishna by their association. Therefore these verses come here, emphasizing the association of satam, of sadhus, in the chapter of spiritual masters, because the spiritual masters represent Krishna, and devotees are the only way that we can get in contact with Krishna in this world. And Prabhupada is so emphatic here. It is not possible to make advancement without association. Also in his purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam verse there, he says, it is not possible to advance in spiritual life unless we're in the association with devotees. So, and if we look also in the context of when the verse was spoken in the 25th chapter of 3rd canto, who spoke that verse? Do you remember? Oh, Prabhupada mentioned actually. Huh? Kopildev. Right. So Prabhupada says that in instructing, in responding to the questions of his mother, Devahuti, who asked about devotional service. Do you remember what she asked? Exactly the first question she said, she asked, or rather it was a statement. That's how the chapter begins. This is the first chapter when, in a series of chapters where we hear about Lord Kapiladev's instructions. So it starts with questions from Devahuti, but the first statement she makes is very interesting, I find, because we know who she is. She's not an ordinary woman. And her husband was a great sage, and she was personification of Dharma in that sense. But she says, Nirvinna nitaram bhuman asat indriya tarshana. She says, I'm disgusted, not just disgusted, nirvinna means disgusted with, and nitaram means completely. I'm completely disgusted with asat indriya tarshana. What that means? Asat trishna. Trishna means thirst. And asat means, for something material, temporary. So she says, I'm disgusted with, when Prabhupada translates this as disturbances of the senses. So I'm disgusted. Because of this thirst for sensual gratification, I've fallen in the dark abyss of ignorance. So only you can save me, my Lord Bhuman, please give me proper instructions. And then Kapila Dev, because the scene is like he was sitting leisurely. It seems like, he stayed after his father left, and just took care of his mother and to please her. And he was sitting leisurely, and then she approached him with this question. It's unusual. Can you imagine? I don't know. Maybe your mother comes, and she says, "I'm completely disgusted with this taste for the sensual." And then, it's not the rasa of the parent approaches the child like that, but then she says, "Oh my Lord," and then she glorifies Kapila because she understands, oh, this is an incarnation of the Supreme. And she says, "Oh, please enlighten me. Only you can save me." And then he smiles because of the situation. Okay, my mother is asking me. Okay, he smiles. He says, "I'll tell you about an Asian yoga." And he says, "Yogam sarvanga naipunam," which is very, Prabhupada translates this word naipunam, serviceable and practical in every way. It's all the angas, all the parts or the methods of this yoga are very easy to perform, very practical and serviceable. And then he says something very important, that our whole problem is one thing. And it's again this word, sangha, but in another meaning. The word sangha means a lot of things in Sanskrit, but it means association, it means meeting, it means union, and it means devotion to, or attachment to, or even addiction to. So in this case, it's attachment. And Kapila Dev says that those who are attached to the material gunas, in other words, to material world, they are bound. They are, because gunas also mean like ropes, they are tied, they're bound. And those who are attached to the Lord, they're free. Okay? And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that it is the mind who causes this. The jivas become either bound by their mind through bad association, which brings attachment, or they're liberated through good association, which brings good attachment, right? So this is the method of bondage. You choose, we choose, it's not someone else. We are responsible what association we choose and what kind of attachment we develop. And then in the text 20, he says, "Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayo vidu." All learned men, they know something very important. Sa eva sadhushu krito mokshadvaram apavritam. That through prasanga, through, here the word is again in the 25th verse, satam prasanga means a saintly association, but here is in general through association, either you open the door which goes downward, or you open the door which goes to mokshadvara. It's the door to liberation, to set you free. Okay, so this is by prasanga. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement for the soul, but the same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door for liberation. It's the same attachment. It's not different. It's the same type of feeling. It's the same type of attachment thing which keeps you in contact, because attachment to something makes us absorbed in that thing or person, right? So it's the same type of attachment or connection which is very strong. And when it is to self-realized devotees, then it really opens the door to liberation. And then he clarifies, okay, who are these devotees, which he says, sadhushu, saiva sadhushu krito mokshadvaram. To these sadhus, if you're attached, then you will be liberated. So who are these devotees? Anyone remember the verse before that satam prasangam, when Kapila Dev gives definition of sadhu actually, so that we're not mistaken, because we may think, oh, everyone could be a sadhu. But he gives primary characteristics, secondary characteristics of them.
Self-realized soul.
How do you understand that someone is self-realized? So first he starts with the secondary characteristics. Titikshava Karunika, which means the sadhu is very tolerant, very merciful, compassionate. Then Suhrida Sarvabhutanam, he is a very good friend to all the living entities.
Never envious.
Huh?
Never envious.
Never envious. Ajata Shatrava. He is not Ajata Shatrava, Shanta. So he doesn't have enemies. And then Shanta means very peaceful. And Sadhava, Sadhubhushana. Sadhava, Prabhupada translates as follows the scriptures, or it means someone who is very straightforward or honest, not hypocritical. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti says. It's Sadhava. So these are the Sadhubhushana, the ornaments of a sadhu, these qualities. So these are the external, you can see someone. By that, these are the secondary qualities, but the primary qualities comes in the next verse, 22nd. So he says, Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridham. So he says, they have ananyena bhavena bhakti. They have a unalloyed, that's ananya, or there is nothing else. Bhavena means feeling or devotion, kurvanti medridam, and great determination. So they are completely devoted to me in love. With great determination they perform bhakti. So that's the main characteristics of such sadhus. In other words, they have to have this unalloyed bhava. They are not interested in anything else. So this is sadhu. And then in 23 he says, Mat ashraya katha mrishta shrinvanti kathayanti cha tapanti vividhastapa natan mat gata chetasa. Engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. So that's another symptom. Okay, what do they do? How you can recognize? What the other things are about character. Okay, they are peaceful, they are friendly, they are straightforward, they are compassionate, and their hearts are full of bhava for Krishna. But you can see from outside, because these are internal mostly. Of course, you recognize when somebody is compassionate by the actions. But especially recognized by the actions and what they do, Mad Ashraya Katham Mrishta. They
always speak about Krishna.
Always listen, especially they always listen, and listen to what?
Katha.
He says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, to pure stories, Mrishta. Prabhupada says, Mrishta also means enlivening or something which is purifying. So they listen to such stories, says Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, not about Maya. Again, a very clear symptom. You see what the person is listening to. And we heard the other day about all kinds of music which someone can listen, from more sattvic to the most tamasic. And we heard all kinds of definitions of the tamasic type of sounds. So and by the attraction to what we hear, we can recognize where we listen to something pure stories of Krishna Katha, or about Maya. So, and then also they are not afflicted by any suffering. Why? Because they are completely absorbed. Mat gata chetasa means their minds are gone to me. They are gone, they are lost. Their hearts are completely absorbed in me. So, therefore, they don't complain, they don't lament, they don't experience suffering in the sense of the mind. They may feel physical pain, because the body gives pain. But within their hearts, they're so absorbed. And then, this was the 24th verse, O my mother, O virtuous lady, these are the qualities of great devotees who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such holy persons, for this counteracts the pernicious effects of material attachment. So, and then he says this first, satam prasangam. Now, when you associate, when you find such devotees and you associate, you also recognize this. There will be some effects. There will be something which will happen with you by this closeness. Also, prasanga means intimate. Prabhupada says here, intimate closeness, intimate association. So, okay, what is this? First, you experience by their prasanga, you hear something again. It's through your ears. You hear the specific, powerful talks or messages, vira samvida. It is the powerful sound connected with the Supreme Lord. So when this sound comes through the ear and reaches the heart, what's the result?
Purifying.
In the verse. In the verse?
Ear and heart.
Yeah, it comes.
Satisfying.
Yes. It's a source of sweetness. Prabhupada translated rasayana. What is rasayana? Who knows a little bit about Ayurveda? It is a special type of, it's not medicinal type, but it's given after, it's called rejuvenation, right? To rejuvenate your body and mind, etc. Rasayana. Rasa means the juice, so it gives you life. So a source of life and sweetness. You will experience it. It's not a theoretical thing, I'm close to devotees who are, and those sadhus described so far, and then nothing happens. Something will happen within your heart, you will experience it. You'll experience some transformation, you'll experience sweetness, and Prabhupada called that encouragement, enlightenment. And then automatically, also apavarga vartmani, you become free. You start to walk on the path of freedom, actually. Things which are keeping you, dragging you to the darkness, to ignorance, are not anymore obstacles, as Prabhupada explained in the purport. And then conviction, shraddha, rati, attraction, and bhakti, love, come one after another. So, if we don't experience these tangible results from association, what's the problem? Any guesses?
We are not actually associating.
You don't make advance.
We don't actually associating.
You don't make advance.
We don't have faith in the
We're
association,
not
but
properly connected.
we're not really associating. Not properly, not really connected, not really associating. We don't follow the instructions, but here it's about just associating and hearing from them. So,
Connected with the mind, but not with the heart.
okay, so
The taste.
It stays here.
You don't have the taste.
we don't have the taste, but we hear here if we're actually in close, intimate association with sadhus, that will come. That taste will come. So I'm saying, if it's not coming, what's the reason?
Prabhupada gives the example of the electrical bulb and the powerhouse. So if the line is properly and the powerhouse is also good, then the bulb also, then there should be enlightenment.
Okay, so very good example. Prabhupada said about the bulb and the electrical, you connect it with the electricity, it will light, it will lighten, right? It will give light. If there is electricity, so, you have to connect with the proper source, with the real sadhu, and you have to be a bulb ready to take the electricity, but you have to connect. So that's the whole point. Are we really connecting? Is there an intimate connection or intimate association? It's not about, obviously, physical proximity, which Shyamananda Prabhu explained the other last Sunday, proximity or closeness. It's not about that. Because Prabhupada said, what is the most important in the association?
Intimate connection?
Yeah, but I'm referring to Vani and Vapu. He was saying it's the most important is the sound or the instruction, the words of the saintly person, and how we connect with them with attention and desire to apply and follow. Because he said, if it's about closeness to the spiritual master, physical, the sadhu, the devotee, mosquito is the most close, right? Directly on the body. But doesn't get, is definitely a sangha, touching the body. Sangha means also touching, So the mosquito is touching, but doesn't get that bad. Maybe we'll get some benefit from drinking Mahablood, I don't know. Sorry, this is speculation. But Prabhupada said, it's what you do with the association. How attentively you hear, with what heart we hear, and how we apply that also. But it's really most important is actually the hearing process to be done with faith and attention. So that one is, to have a real connection, because again, you come with the bulb really close to the socket, but it's not really, it's really very close. So we may be open the book, or we may attend the class, but actually either we are half asleep or fully asleep, or our minds are somewhere else. So the bulb is close, but there is no connection. So there will be no light. So that's the normal explanation. There is no rapt attention, which Bhagavatam right in the beginning explained that this is required in order to make the progress, to have the full experience of Krishna. Every verse and every page of Bhagavatam, you have to have that rapt attention, and Prabhupada explains in that purport to that verse about rapt attention. It's not possible unless we have pure mind, and the pure mind comes from pure activities, which are result of pure habits, etc. So you make the proper choices, you build it up, you mold your life in such a way so that you can have this attention, and then you have the desire and the discipline to, I have to hear. Unless I connect, there's no point. I may be externally a devotee, I may follow the notions, I may come, with association with devotees, but if I don't connect, if I don't hear regularly and for a long time, which also Kapila says later on in the chapters, again, in further questions to his mother, at one point she says, is it really possible to be freed from the connection? It's a similar question which the Kumaras asked in 11th canto, Brahman, who couldn't answer. The songs they asked his father, he said, and then he meditated, and Hamsavatar appeared and gave instructions. But they were also, is it really possible? They are really so tightly, so completely matching the senses and the objects that it seems impossible that we become detached. Is it at all possible? And Kapila Devahuti also asked something similar. He says, yes, it's possible by hearing for a long time. So it's necessary that we hear properly and for a long time, but also properly means that in our dealings in general also we don't make mistakes and offenses. That could be another reason. We may hear, but then if we make offenses, we don't have proper attitude or proper behavior towards devotees, then the progress will be checked. Or even we can go back and lose everything what we attained if the offenses are severe. So therefore, we have to be careful to choose our association with devotees who are enlivening and inspiring. They hear about Krishna, their hearts are gone to Krishna, and then we have to be careful to not offend the devotees. And another reason, I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the purport to that verse, the 25th verse, that one reason also that we may not experience that is that association itself is inferior, he says. From inferior association there will be only bhajana kriya. That's still good, that's still practicing, but you may not feel that ecstasy or that sweetness, rasayana, because of the inferior association. What does it mean? Devotees who are not that, on that level of unalloyed devotion. So what kind of devotees they are? Again, according to Kapila, they've described later on, again in 29th chapter. You remember he gave 4 categories. He says, well, in the in the beginning he says there are unlimited varieties of how bhakti is displayed according to the conditioning of the practitioners. But the three main one are depending on the conditioning of the three gunas. And then he also explains what means unconditional. So you remember anything about how in someone who is influenced by tamoguna, his devotion will be manifested? Yeah, himself, then Matsarya, envy, then anger, and pride. 4 things, he says. So, if that is exhibited, that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, so this is inferior association, inferior devotee in the mode of goodness. So we have to respect, but not come close. Don't intimately be close, because we will get that type of influence. And then one more thing. So these 4, which are obvious, but one thing he says also, Bhinadrik, they have a separatist vision. And then, what I will explain what it means. Then in the next verse, also, he explains. I put them here. Yeah, so it's the Raja Guna influenced devotee, Vishayan Nyasha Aishwarya. Also interested in some other things, and also something similar to Binadrik means Pritak Bhava, means has some interest which is different from the interest of the Lord. In other words, hearts are not one, okay? So the real sadhu is one with the Lord, and these are the devotees who Krishna Das Chakravarti Thakur here talks about, the spiritual masters chapter. And the ones who have Pritak Bhava, they have different interests. So they are mixed, and there's some benefit. There will be bhajana kriya, but we have to seek, especially that's the advice of Kapila, they have that association of unalloyed devotees. So those with Rajaguna, predominantly Vishaya, they want pleasure, material pleasure, yasha, fame, and Aishwarya. Yeah, wealth. Yeah, so they want position and fame and money and etc. and gratification resulting from these. And those in Sattva Guna, and they also have this Pritak Bhava. In Sattva Guna, they also have Pritak Bhava. Why? Because they are interested for themselves. What do they want? Freedom. They want karma nirharam udishya Pritak Bhava sasatvika. They want to get free from the results of their activities, which is a sattvic thing. It's a good. I mean, you don't want material things, but you want liberation. And Kapila Dev says, actually in a few verses after this, that actually my devotees, my pure devotees, they are not interested at all, even in liberation, even in the 5 kinds of liberation. So therefore, even just that desire, if it's separate from the desire of Krishna, is not pure. And then in 2 verses, he says, who are the unalloyed devotees? Listen carefully. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Lord, who is residing in everyone's heart. Very simple. If there is a sound about the name and qualities, the mind of a pure devotee immediately is attracted. And there is one nice similar here. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. So that's the definition of unadulterated devotional service. And no desire for anything else. Okay, so these were the few notes about the verses from the Bhagavatam and context in that. What could we conclude from this? That we have to seek this association, pray for that association, long for that association, cry for that association, beg for that association. What Srila Narottam Das Thakur says in his Prabhupada so many times quotes these verses in the song Nama Sankirtana, which says starts Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. So then after that he said these verses, glorification of the names of Krishna, he starts glorifying the 6 Goswamis. He says, Echai Goshai Kori Charanavandan Jaha Hoite Vigdanasha Vishtapuran. By associating with these 6 Goswamis, one's desires are fulfilled and all obstacles are removed. I pray to be born again among such devotees. This is his desire. Just, if I'm born again, no problem. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Even if I'm born as an insect, I prefer that instead of, but among devotees, instead of being born as Brahma, who is a non-devotee. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, I want to be born again and again among the association of devotees. Why? Because that's the secure position. Then I'll be in Krishna consciousness. If I'm in the safe Sangha, then if I'm in Krishna consciousness, I'm not in the material world. So that's the safest prayer. And then he says even something stronger. Actually, the dust of the devotees, these 6 Goswamis, is my 5 kinds of food. Mora Panchagras. Can you imagine that? Can you eat that? 5 types of food means you drink, lick, and suck, and chew, and whatever. So, but he says the dust. Basically means they are my life and soul, and that's my only inspiration. Obviously, this is a metaphor here. I mean, literally also because he was living with Narottam Das Thakur. He associated and served Jiva Goswami. But some of the Goswamis he didn't even see. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, he didn't see even. But he's longing that he's eating their dust, the dust of their feet. Means their instructions and their association. He's longing for the association. Here the food again is in that sense of what comes in our heart. Only he wants that their association. So this is something very intimate, very close, very deep, that the devotees desire to be among such great souls, and they pray to Krishna, my dear Lord, please give me this chance, place me in such a position that I may be around such a devotee or devotees, and by that closeness, everything else will follow. I'll be convinced in life, and I will be attracted, and I'll develop bhakti and love. And a few words in conclusion, how is that association possible? Any suggestions? What is the easiest way?
By the books.
The scriptures, maybe.
Yeah, well, actually Prabhupada says that in the purport of the commentary in the Bhagavatam, that books are not enough. Okay? So therefore we need society of devotees. But again, we have to understand both things, because he said also, let me ask you first, can we associate with Rupa Goswami now?
Not physically, but through his books, his writings.
Do we associate? How?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but
Yes.
I'm talking intimately, closely. So how does it work? How many times per day you associate with Rupa Goswami? Once a day?
3 times a day.
At least three times.
It's of our respectful basis into the spirit of master.
Okay, I'm talking specifically about Rupa Goswami.
Yeah.
We're Rupanugas, but how do you associate with him? Every day, I'm asking.
Devotional service.
Huh?
Devotional service from the director of devotion.
Okay, so that's correct. That's fine. I mean, we're Rupanugas, we follow the acharyas, and our gurus are representative of Rupa Goswami. I'm talking specifically of actually a direct association, which Prabhupada said. We can associate with Rupa Goswami directly. How? By hearing the nectar of devotion.
Yes, it was said.
So if we read the nectar of devotion, every day we associate with Rupa Goswami. And the same thing Prabhupada said about himself. He said, how you get my association? I will never die. I will never be gone. You can always have my association through my books. So books are there, yes, but at the same time Prabhupada said books are not enough. Because why? How many times? We don't need to say public, but how many times we read Nectar of Devotion? Do we read every day Nectar of Devotion? Do we read every day Bhagavad Gita? Do we open Prabhupada's book every day? How long we read them? That we have to ask. So if we don't do it, then we're missing something. We're missing some encouragement, some inspiration, and that inspiration we get from those who have the taste and inspiration for being in contact with Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami and the other acharyas. They are doing it every day and they are fired up. They are burning with this. So when we are close to them, we catch this fire, right? You know, we are like, oh, I want to be like that also. Just by being close, you know, we see how they are in the fire. And then I also wants to be, you know, connected with Srila Prabhupada. So therefore a society of devotees is needed. But again, with the very clear distinction that the sadhu sangha means hearing about Krishna, not hearing about Maya. So we have to take advantage and associate with devotees in any possible way, physical, through hearing of their words, especially, you know, hearing their prayers and their poetry of the acharyas, where they reveal their hearts, and then we really become very intimately connected through them. And then they also will guide us. They will continue. Srila Prabhupada says, if we chant or sing every day Shat Goswami Ashtaka, all our problems will be removed. All the obstacles from devotional service. And we will associate with the Goswamis just with this song. And then we'll enter in their mood, etc., etc. So praying to Krishna to give us the chance and developing that mood, especially of when we have that chance, what should we do? Submissively hear and render service. There should be the mood of seva vritti. That's what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur many times said. This is the key, the mood of service. So again, we will get the benefit of sadhu sangha if we have that submissive mood with desire to serve and please, and then we'll become intimately connected, because that's the way we develop relationship, right? How we develop closeness with someone. If we want to become, we like someone, I want to become close. What do we do?
Service, giving service.
Yeah, loving exchanges. But basically, we try to offer something and be around and be of some use, right? I'm available. I'm here. I'm available. So Prabhupada gave this example. You know, he was so expert engaging everyone, anyone, even the non-devotees, if they could be of some use, participating in some way, contributing to the movement. And he was so kind. So we have to be ready to be available for service and also give chance to others to also engage them in the service of Guru Parampara. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. Any comments, questions, or any important points you'll take away? Or the most important thing from what you heard so far? I hope you'll take away something. You'll remember something. What will that be? Anyone wants to share? Unless we want to stop, but if we have
those
a few
who want
minutes.
to go, it is 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
can go. Those who want to stay,
You have the permission
some
to go.
Thank you for the nice lecture, Mahendra Prabhu. I was wondering about association in the sense of You were saying that we should associate with devotees, but also with devotees who are more realized and advanced, so that we can also kind of be pulled up by that association as well. And I think I asked a similar question to Shamananda Prabhu last week, and I was wondering what your take is on it, since we're constantly, our association is constantly changing as well. However, we also have, let's say, friends, and sometimes that association might not always be beneficial to us, and sometimes it is. But how do you kind of still respect everyone in the same sense, but also want to associate with people that can kind of give you that spark? Or
I think you kind of answered by, by explaining it. Well, you respect, definitely. How do you respect? By being respectful. I mean, we shouldn't develop this type of paranoia. I only associate with pure devotees who are, sadhus describing all these criteria. I judge everyone, and those who are not something, they're lacking in any of these, I will run away. Of course not, because as I read from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there is, maybe it's not insufficient, or it's not on that level, but still it's beneficial if it's of course related to Krishna. That means devotee association. If it's not, then like he says the example, it should be about hearing for Krishna, not about Maya. But in general, we have to associate with devotees and be friendly and respectful. And but try to develop intimate connection with those who are really absorbed, those who are on that level of their hearts have gone to Krishna. So we try to develop that, and with everyone else we are very friendly, and we associate. We value that association because there will be some connection with Krishna, and we also, if we have that as a goal and as a value, then we will try to influence the association also. Let's say, as you say, we have friends, but maybe they are not on that level, they are not pure sadhus, but still you can try to, that we together follow that standard. For example, again, real Sangha means if Krishna is in the center. So when you're with friends, maybe there is some Maya that maybe we can point towards. So let's hear something about Krishna. Let's talk about Krishna. Let's do kirtan. Things like that. So then that's sadhu sangha. And with the highly advanced, we try to serve and hear mainly, and especially read and hear and sing their prayers and songs like that. Yes.
Thank you again, Mahendra Prabhu, for your nice class again. So my question is, it's about service, doing service, and you mentioned the word unalight, and you explained also unalight. But is there something like the quality of the service? I mean, it's important to do the service without any own interest, without conditions. Sometimes it happens that we'll do serve and to think, if I do this, then I get that. So can you tell something about this phenomenon service? Like the gopis is unallied, uninterrupted, all these conditions. We don't have that level. This is Kali Yuga. But still, if you seek for association, I rather look for association devotees who are not so much into these conditions and interest, etc., etc. So I make a kind of selection. I respect all the devotees, but for the sangha around me, I particularly am very much in favor of those who don't have any interest, don't expect something, or they do it for a certain position or something like that.
Yeah, but again, you see that the point is your senators are not in favor of those who, that shouldn't be the attitude. We should be in favor of all devotees who are have some, because mixed devotees, which means there's some mixture, either it's jnana, karma, desire for material profit or liberation, whatever that means, mixed devotion. Something for myself, I expect, not pure, not unalloyed. So that's most of us anyway. So we have to acknowledge that mixed means, what are the ingredients? There's something pure and something impure. So there is something pure, right? Okay. So that we have to be in favor. Or we have to be in favor of all devotees, because they have something pure. Maybe very small, but there is some. So then we have to look at this pure. Oh, they're so, there is something in that. And then we don't have to see the self-interest or the impure side or the mixed interest, but we don't need to come close to that.
That's what I mean.
And so associate so much. So then we have to try ourselves to serve in such a way, develop that service mode, which is a high-key. There's no reason, no expectation for that service. But it's a very high level still. It's not impossible that we have it as a goal and we try to apply it. It's a conscious practice. Whatever we do every day, we try to serve Krishna in all the items we do, or all the practices, whether it's hearing or chanting or serving the deities. We go to Krishna and says, "My dear Lord, I'm doing it to please you." This is the only reason. And even if my crazy mind comes up with all the things, please ignore it, but I offer this for your pleasure now. And then Krishna will take that, even if my mind is coming with all kinds of expectations and what about this and that, and or maybe some longings, and that's fine, but I want to do it because even if I'm very impure and low, that's how I attract the mercy. I go to my master and say, "My Lord, I'm so low," and then Krishna will, "You are kind to the poor and fallen," so then you'll attract the mercy. And the devotees who are advanced, they also will be kind if we develop that mood. So we submit ourselves and we submit as we spoke the other previous time, it's our tale of sorrow. We say, that's my condition, that's my situation, and we have to be honest. I'm not pure, but I want to please you, I want to serve you. And they will take that part and help us, only by their
Because you said,
words.
watch out with the association if you
Yeah, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that we have to be not develop intimate connection with those who are influenced by the lower
because
modes.
you can fall down easily. You can
You'll get influenced by the lower modes also. Yeah. Last thing.
I will ask private.
Okay. You need a VIP ticket, a VIP ticket. You need. I'm joking.
So what if it is possible that, thank you so much for the lecture, it was very fitting for me and for my mind. And so what is if a person sees purity where there is no real purity, and because in the past I have had the experience that I have seen so much purity in a person, and it was I didn't want to see the bad things, and this is recommended here, but actually it turned out that it was a very bad experience because it was a long duration and it was not healthy, and so maybe this can also be in a devotee community, that maybe one can see purity in someone, too much purity, and then be very attached to that person and always try to please them, and and also the devotees in the books, they sometimes say, I am the dog of this person, or like very much in a disturbing mood, and this is very much praised. But could this also have
turn out badly, because maybe there's also idealism or idolship. I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Like how to idolize a person, even though it's an illusion, because maybe it's a partial illusion, not a full illusion, but one can see in everyone that they're trying to become Krishna conscious. If we can see a non-devotee, we can see, okay, he does that thing, it's good, it's at least not the lower mode, so it's in the direction of Krishna consciousness. So we can like make everything look nice, and then this is then the reason that I can stay friends with this person, even though it's actually ultimately not good for my devotional service. So is there a way to distinguish how to have the intelligence? Or
Intelligence comes from Paramatma and from Shastra and from sadhus and Guru Shastra sadhu. So you pray to Krishna, of course, to give you intelligence, and then you just use your common sense. And what you describe, it seems like a sentimental, whatever something. Devotees are not fools; they just reasonable and see through the eyes of Shastra Chakshus. So that's how they make our judgment. The point is, we don't understand well Shastra, or we can be confused or become just emotionally attached or sentimental, and make mistakes in that way. But still, if we have sincerely offered service and worshipped someone who was real, right? That's what you meant. Someone was fake. You said it was too pure, which sounds really contradictory. There cannot be too pure.
No, I meant that I see so much purity in someone, but in my eyes could be flawed.
Yeah, the point is we can't really see so much purity, because purity is something in the heart only Krishna sees. We can see the external symptoms, as I explained these quotes from the Shastra, that there are a number of primary, secondary symptoms, and then you can see, and then you don't know how much or too much, but if somebody is behaving like that, and of course, that's another problem, that we only see something publicly by someone, unless you live with the person and see what that person is doing behind the public, private. Because as some devotees say, the real test for devotion comes when what you do privately. So maybe somebody is presenting as a great devotee, and may look like a great devotee, constantly engaged and very devotional and whatever, and great taste, and can speak wonderfully on Shastra, etc. But then privately you can do all kinds of nonsense. And then usually that comes into light sooner or later. Krishna doesn't, like this type of hypocrisy. But it may take some. So we cannot see everyone, but we may see some things, and then to that extent we have to be respectful. But our complete faith and devotion should be for the completely pure, like Prabhupada and the Acharyas, those whom we know. And even then Prabhupada said about himself, don't trust me, in one case in his disciple. You can fully trust only Krishna. I'm just a soul, I'm fallible soul. So knowing this, we just have to be just prudent and use common sense to be careful and not just blindly worship or glorify, but understand it in the proper sense that association is great, that association which enlivens us. So what I wanted to say, that even if the person is not ideal and you still offer service or you become attached, Krishna takes that. That's the most important. So maybe you become after that disappointed by seeing the person, but again, Shastra explains, even very highly advanced devotee can fall. And then you may be disappointed, but then it's said exactly what you have to do. You take shelter with other devotees who are properly situated and are connected to Krishna, and then that there is no problem. I mean, because of the attachment and connection, there will be some pain, definitely. But if initially our connection was not just sentimental, but based on Shastra, then we will have the knowledge to understand, and the proper perspective wouldn't be shaken. Our conviction wouldn't be shaken by that. But yeah, I think Prabhupada said too much devotion is sign of a thief. So we shouldn't, too much devotion or over devotion in that sense, of course. But I'm quoting Narottam Das Thakur because he's crying his heart, for the six Goswamis. So therefore he says, I want to become your servant and subsist on the dust of your feet. And this is what he said. But if we try to imitate that, also we shouldn't, because we are not on that level. Okay, let me collect the dust of the feet of devotees and I try to eat it. I mean, again, I know a devotee who is very advanced. That is, he's Prabhupada disciple, all his life dedicated. But, he's reading every day. We'll see this chapter 8, 9, when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will start just glorifying devotees, listing names of devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And then at the end of these chapters where he lists names, and he says, if just by hearing these names you develop devotion and you get rid of all your anarthas. So this is a great blessing. So that devotee told me, I'm every day I'm hearing these names, and I add, because these are Lord Chaitanya's associates, so I have my own list of contemporary devotees. And I read these names and remember them. And I was surprised. Yeah. It's just a daily practice, just by hearing the names and remembering devotees is so powerful. But still we cannot imitate that, because it's also he pulled up a case and said, and then I have dry maha from many devotees. He opened the case and showed the names and said, don't ask me how I got that. I have my ways, somehow I arranged the serving when they are together, many, advanced devotees or my servants whatever. I arrange the servants so they get the plates and then they dry it, they make it into dust. So easy. I mean, this is something. But again, we rather make it simple as Prabhupada. I mean, it's very good to hear, and if we can do it regularly, it's also very nice. As Prabhupada said, daily, we sing about the spiritual master. If we can sing Shad Goswami Ashtaka and some of the other songs of the Acharyas to be connected intimately, and try to follow. Prabhupada makes it very simple. Try to follow their instructions, and that will mean we are associating with them. And then also personally approach them. We talk to Srila Prabhupada, to the Acharyas, to our spiritual masters. Also tell them, reveal our heart and ask them for protection and help. And then, we are safe. Don't worry about, if I'm worshipping or too devoted or seeing too pure, we'll be protected, don't worry. Just pray for that. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.